The Weekly Warp Pipe.
What's up, guys? RussLyman here, and welcome to the Weekly Warp Pipe, a podcast dedicated to retro video games, 80s and 90s toys, and all things nostalgia. This week, we're jumping in the Warp Pipe and going back and checking out Konami. Konami on the NES. We are ranking every Konami game that came out on the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's going to be a good time. Hope you guys enjoy this episode. Let's get into it. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Weekly Warp Pipe. I'm RussLyman.
What's up, guys? I'm Jay, a.k.a. NES Addict.
Excellent. Jay.
What's up, buddy?
I went on a Whatnot. We were talking about Whatnot last week. I went on with David Apuzzo. Happy birthday, belated birthday. His birthday was last week. He did a Whatnot stream, and I jumped on with him. He was selling some NES games, some VHS stuff, and yeah, it was a good time.
Did he do pretty good?
Yeah, I ended up he passed 2,000 followers on Whatnot, so that was awesome. And yeah, he sold a bunch of games. I brought a few items. I brought some Goosebump books, 3 lots of those. So someone bought those, and I brought a custom controller that I did with Double Dragon, and someone purchased that. So it was pretty fun. We had a good time. It was like 2 hours or so with the stream.
Nice. Happy birthday, David.
Yeah. What was up with your week? What did you do?
I basically hung out at my mother's house. She broke her hip, so she needs a lot of help. So I hung out with her, and but I used the time to play some Metroid at night when she was sleeping on the SNES Classic.
Nice. Yeah, I did see I saw your videos on TikTok. You fighting Kraid and all that. It was a good time.
Yeah, I had to change it up a little bit, but
excellent. Well, we're diving in this week. We're going to be ranking all the Konami games on NES.
Let's do it.
There's quite a few. We made a list. So rankings are obviously S ranking is the absolute best, 10 out of 10 it could be. And then A, B, C, D, and F if the game totally sucks.
F, you fail.
So I got a list. It's in alphabetical order. So we're just going to run it down. No Famicom games, though. Only American NES release games.
There you go.
So we're starting off with Bayou Billy.
Bayou Billy.
It does have the voice sample in there when you.
It sure does. I'm trying to figure out where my list just went.
Okay. Well, I played this one. So it's unique because it is a like beat 'em up style game, but also you can use the zapper in certain sections. But I personally never made it to those sections because it was quite tough. The enemies take way too many hits, I think, to get down. For attacks, you get a punch and you get a kick and a jump kick. And that's about it. And once in a while when you're fighting the enemies, a turkey will fall out for some health. My positive on it was the music was pretty good. It was entertaining.
The music is good. Yeah, I will say my biggest complaint about Bayou Billy is the hit detection, in my opinion, is terrible. Like when you're playing a game like Double Dragon and you throw a punch at somebody, you're going to connect. But Bayou Billy, I never know if I'm going to hit the person or not.
Right. You almost don't feel it when you're mashing the buttons.
Yeah, it doesn't like line up for some reason. So yeah, I don't know. I think I gave that game a C. I'm about to find out in just a second.
You did. Yeah. I mean, I have your list here. Jay gave it a C. I gave it a D though.
Gave it the old D.
Gave it the old D. I couldn't get much. Maybe if I practice a ton, I can see a little bit further in the game, but it was a D for me.
I've seen some people do really good at it, like Megadan, but man, not me.
Not us.
Us.
The next game is Batman Returns on the NES. I'm definitely favored towards the Super Nintendo one. I didn't put much time into the NES release. I don't even remember when it came out back in the day. I never saw it at Blockbuster or any of that, but it's a beat 'em up style game. It does have a password system, so I think it'd be a great rental title for the weekend. And it picks up just like in the movie. You're at the tree lighting event and you're going through the streets fighting the clowns and all that. Your weapons, you got punch, kick, like a jump kick. You can hit select to use your Batarang. And if you hit down an A, you do this cool like slide on the ground attack, which you can like spam and beat up the enemies.
Yeah, I think I gave that game an A. It's a fun beat 'em up. Like you said, it's not as good as the Super Nintendo. I would say the biggest thing I think about that game is it's pretty difficult in my opinion, but maybe I just need to get good.
That's it. Get good. I ranked it at A as well. I'll have to do a live stream of this one and beat it because I've never beaten this one before. So good one.
Yep. Good old Batman.
Moving on to Bill Elliott's NASCAR Challenge.
Oh,
little racing game. Some notes I have. It's got some fun graphics. When you start the game, choose what you want to do your car, and then it shows the car in like a pit, and your mechanic comes out and like changes your tires and all that. I thought that was cool. And it does have voice sampling in the game. It says, "Gentlemen, start your engines," so you kind of get pumped to go. And it takes the approach of like in a cockpit view of the race car, so you're seeing through the windshield, and you're just going around the track. But I lost interest and just crashed.
Yeah, I mean, it's NASCAR. I mean, it's cars going in a circle. In real life, it doesn't work. On video games, it doesn't work unless you're a redneck.
Yeah, me and Jay gave it both D's.
Yeah, D. Bill, it sucks.
What's next on our list?
Oh, so now we're talking more my speed here. From a not sport to a real sport. I'm offending everyone who likes NASCAR. I'm sorry. I'm just being a hater. Blades of Steel.
Blades of Steel.
My only complaint about this game, but it also is a dynamic that makes it interesting. And I've been playing a lot of Blades of Steel lately. You can't control your defense separate from your goalie. So
right. It's always going.
When the guy's shooting at you, you have to make a decision. Do I try to get him with the defender to take the puck away, or do I just block the goal? And what I find is often that the guy just shoots on me repetitively enough until I can stop it with the goalie and then like pass it to one of my offensemen.
Right.
But my defenders are much in the defensive zone, past the blue line. They're useless.
Right.
Because I always, if I go with the defender to the player, my goalie's out of position. They always score on me.
Right. It leaves them open for an easy score.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I will say it's awesome. It has you can get into a fight in it. It has some fights, and it does like a cut scene, and you're like side by side, and the characters' sprites are big, and you like.
But it's almost too much.
Yeah,
it happens. It happens a lot.
Yeah, if you bang into the other opponents a lot, then it goes to the cutscene.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun, but it does happen, I think, a little more than it should.
Gotcha. So we ended up, I would say, we ranked them both as a B. So.
Yeah.
B for Blades.
B for Blades. The other cool thing, and this is just a quick mention, during the intermission between the second and third period, you can play Gradius.
Yes, I was going to say that. That's so cool that they're like promoting their other game within their game.
And then there's like commercials for Contra and whatnot. But anyway,
right.
Not the selling whatnot, but you know.
All right, moving on. Bucky O'Hare.
Bucky O'Hare, other than the fact that it's a really hard game, it's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, we both gave this an S ranking, 10 out of 10. It has awesome sprite work. Graphics are great. It opens up to a cool level, kind of like almost like I guess you could be like a opening level. Once you beat that, then it's like, all right, you can choose which world you want to go to, almost Mega Man style, and then you free your friends. And when you free your friend, they now can play with you in that next stage.
You can bring them along for the action.
Right. So it has a lot of replay where you're like, oh, maybe I'll go to this planet first next time and try it this way. Great music. They had a cartoon tie in with that. So maybe some kids saw the cartoon and it was like, oh, NES game. Dope. Check it out. And they had toys.
Pretty sure it had a password system as well.
Yeah, I can't remember if it did, but if it did, that's another great thing.
It's one of the hidden, quote unquote, everybody knows about it now, but hidden gems on the NES because it came out much later in the NES lifespan. And I don't think many people got it. But
right. And it's probably pricey. I got mine on eBay long ago, and I got a copy that had like tape on it and marker and stuff. So I think I paid like $40 then for it.
Oh, you got a steal. I got mine for about 80 or 90, but then I found one in the wild with an NES and a bunch of other games and got it for 100.
Oh, nice.
So, but then I sold everything else and pretty much paid for it. It was sweet.
There you go. All right, we're moving on to the Castlevania trilogy.
Oh, baby. One of my favorites.
Sweet. So we'll start with Castlevania 1. Pretty basic, like arcade style gameplay almost, I would say. You move left to right and sometimes right to left.
Yeah. Yeah. This may be a biased opinion, but I gave it an S.
Yeah, I gave it an A. I didn't do full 10 out of 10, but
yeah. I can understand why you wouldn't. I mean, when Simon gets hit and he gets knocked back, that's a little bit annoying.
Mm-hmm.
But the music's fantastic. Really, honestly, once you get good at the game, you can avoid almost all of that stuff.
Right. The Medusa heads.
Yeah, no problem.
For the most part, I can get up to the Grim Reaper. As long as I don't lose holy water, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like if you lose that, then you can't get it anymore in that stage. So you have to fight him with the boomerang.
Yeah, that's hard. It's doable, but it is way easier to kill him with the holy water because you can stun lock him and he won't even move.
Right. Certainly a good one. So yeah, A ranking for me, S for J. Simon's Quest, though, we agreed on the sequel. Yeah. A lot different from the first one. They went a different route.
Yeah, I gave it a B purely because of the broken translation. Had that not made its way to America, I probably would have given it an A. And then, a couple lackluster fights with bosses.
Right, like the Grim Reaper fight in that one is a joke. You could just literally walk past him.
Yep.
You don't even have to fight him. And then with the Holy Water, you could just, again, stun lock Dracula.
Yeah, exactly. But the hardest thing about it's just not knowing what to do unless you have
like a Nintendo Power.
Exactly.
Definitely a lot of cryptic stuff in there, but I enjoyed that it was they switched it up for the gameplay. It was more adventure based, going town to town, and I enjoyed like how you go through the woods and then you come to a town, like you actually go on that walk to the next town.
That is rad. Cool. I think that's cool too.
And password system, so it was perfect for rentals back in the day. You could get as far as you needed to, save your password next weekend, pick back up.
And it has Bloody Tears in it, man.
Dude, best song ever.
So good.
Castlevania 3, though, Dracula's Curse.
I went ahead and gave that a perfect. The only thing I could see being an issue is its difficulty is pretty high.
Right. I gave it a B ranking. I like the first one over this one, although this one it goes back to the style of the first game, but now gives you different characters to choose from and different paths you can take.
Yep, Grant, Alucard, and Sypha.
Yeah, I have this little emulator handheld system, and I ended up beating the game on that because you can use the save state, so I could kind of pick up where I needed to and try again, just because of the difficulty is pretty up there. It
is up there. I have beaten it a few times, but it's tough.
I was going to look up the other endings because it makes you want to go back. Oh, I want to beat it with Sypha this time, see what happens. And
yeah, I think I've beaten it only with Sypha, and I don't think I've ever beat it with Grant or Alucard.
I think I beat it with Alucard. I think that's who I chose to be my buddy.
He's a good one.
Nice. All right, moving on. Contra.
I mean, in my opinion, it's a perfect game, but what's your thoughts, Russ?
Jay's the NES addict, so there are a lot of S rankings for Jay.
Yeah, it's true.
I gave it a B only because I haven't beaten it just using the 3 guys. I definitely have to have the 30 live code. So I haven't stuck enough time into it to get really good at it. Playing it with a friend definitely would make it be an A ranking for me, but most of the time I'm playing it by myself and it's not quite as fun.
Playing it with a friend, though, makes it harder.
Oh, because why? Because it's more bullets on screen, or like you don't know where you are?
No, it's like especially for like the levels where it's like vertically scrolling. Yes. Like if you can't keep up with your friend, sometimes you can like just die because of that.
Oh yeah, or like in the level with like the spike floors come out of the if you're like, come on, let's go ahead and
yeah, it takes a lot more planning.
Definitely,
you have to get on the same page. Russ, you can beat that game if you practiced it for 1 week. I guarantee it.
I imagine so. It's just remembering a lot of this comes here, don't shoot this here. I will say a quick side note, I played the Cyborg Super Cyborg on Switch which is like a love letter to Contra. And that was like 10 times harder than Contra.
Sure.
And you don't even get a 30 live code in that.
Yeah, I'm sure that was probably tough.
But moving on to the stepsister of the bunch, Contra Force.
Yeah, what is this game called in Japan? Like Hound or something?
It's definitely something different because it's a different sprite style. You have 4 guys you can choose from. There's different weapons. It plays a little bit different, and it's a lot harder, I believe.
Yeah, there's a lot of slowdown. I do think it's better than it's given credit for, but it still isn't amazing. I gave it a B. I probably gave it a little too much credit. It's probably actually a C.
I gave it a D. I played it today, and I didn't get past the first level.
Yeah,
I got pretty far in there, but it's tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Another sports game.
Double Dribble. Gotta say it.
Basketball. It's not too much to say about the game. It had a fun intro, I thought, with people going like into the stadium to see the basketball game, and then there was like a blimp that was in the background that said Konami on it.
Yeah, that was fun, and everybody loves the dunk cutscene.
Right. Sometimes when you're going up for the dunk, it does it cool.
As a matter of fact, when I did my Who Remembers Double Dribble on my TikTok, that was the most things I got commented on. You didn't even show the dunk scene. I got crucified for that.
Wow, see, you got to do another one.
I didn't play this growing up, so I actually did. Yeah,
I played it a little bit growing up. I mean, it was okay. I gave it a C ranking.
I don't think it's a broken game. I think it plays pretty well. I mean, it's basketball, so I gave it a B. I think it plays pretty well.
Fair enough. What we got next, Jay?
We got Goonies 2.
Goonies 2. We never got Goonies 1.
Yeah, isn't that weird?
Goonies 1 only came out in Japan on the Famicom. But it plays pretty similar to Goonies 2.
Very similar. Goonies 2 is a good game. I haven't put a ton of time into it, but I think my biggest thing that I like about it is, it's not broken. Like it does what it's supposed to do. So
right. My notes were it has great music. It has the 8-bit theme song of Cyndi Lauper in there.
Yep.
So that was dope. It has fun gameplay, but it is challenging. I said it would definitely take some time to beat, maybe a Nintendo Power or a walkthrough, because there's a lot of rooms to check and clues and stuff to find. It plays as like a platformer. And then you go into these rooms and it's like first person perspective. And then it gives you options to like use a hammer to break a hole in the wall or use a key to open a safe. And you need to get shoes or something else to progress.
It's almost like Shadowgate at that point.
Right. And then you got the Fratellis chasing you around in the regular level, shooting guns at you. But then you also have like spiders and snakes and like generic enemies.
Yeah, I gave it a B.
And I gave it a C, just because for me, I don't think I'll ever beat this game. It's fun, but I'm like, I can't stick that much time into it.
Yeah.
Shooter time, Gradius.
Yeah, Gradius. People love Gradius. I'm more of a Life Force fan, but probably just because I suck at Gradius.
Either one or the other.
Yeah, Life Force is a little more forgiving, and I'm still awful at that. So Gradius didn't have a chance. I gave it a B because I'm not going to blame my shortcomings as a gamer on. I'm sure it's amazing. I know it's a legend for a reason.
Right. I gave it a little lower. I gave it a C only because most shooters are like this. Once you die, you lose all your power-ups, and then it almost becomes impossible to beat the game, to get that many power-ups back up to be good.
Yeah,
to progress. Their power-up system is like you collect the thing and it shows a menu on the bottom, and if you collect 2, it moves the bar, and then you can collect like laser or maybe get another one you want. Missiles.
Option. Yeah.
So strategic like that, but once you lose those power-ups, you're done.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed. This is a tough one.
Definitely for sure. With practice, I'm sure you can get better, but this next one's a doozy.
Jack Nicklaus Major Championship Golf. That just makes me want to go play Nintendo right now. What about you, Russ?
Instead of hitting the field, I'd rather sit in the couch and play some golf. My notes were it had a weird load screen so you get your shot lined up, you shoot your ball, and then it goes to where the ball is, and it kind of it loads across the screen like in rows, tick, 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 and then you get okay, this is where you are, and you shoot again. I thought that was kind of weird.
Yeah. I'm sure golf fans probably liked it, but I gave it the old F.
Me too. I gave it an F as well. I'd probably rather play just golf, like on NES, black box golf.
Yeah.
Jackal.
Oh, that's a classic.
Oh, for sure. This is, you're in a Jeep army game, top down, going to rescue POWs. It's fantastic as a 2-player game.
You could run over people. I mean, what more do you want?
Did I put any notes on that one? I don't think I did. I streamed it a few times, and I definitely beat it a few times.
I beat it on my 39th birthday. I remember. Yeah, it was crazy.
They had some cool bosses that you fight for sure.
Yeah, the bosses were fun. I pretty much consider Jackal a perfect game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
I put it in A. I would say it's probably close to an S, I would say. Again, one of those, I have so much more fun playing with 2 players.
Yeah.
With a couch co-op there. And I'm a little disappointed they never made a sequel to this game.
Yeah, they should have totally made a sequel.
Like, come on. Where's the homebrew community? We need Jackal 2.
Exactly. Get on it, John Riggs.
The next game, King's Quest V.
So you're not going to see a rating from me because I don't know anything about this game.
I sat down with this for a little bit. I got some notes. I said it has pretty good graphics. Like they have like large scenes and they're really painting the picture for you. There's a ton of like storytelling. Basically, you're diving into this lore and story of what happens to the character. It basically opens up, there's a magician and he makes a castle disappear. And then you come back, you were out on a walk and you're like, what happened to my castle? and this owl's like, I saw what happened. Let me tell you what happened. And then the story progresses from there. I didn't sink much more time into that. So, and these types of games aren't really my go-to games.
Right.
But for someone who likes that, I'm sure it's awesome. I gave it a C, kind of in the middle, because I didn't know really how else to rank it.
That was like a quick Russ rating.
Yeah. Laser Invasion.
Never even heard of this NES game, which is probably surprising.
So I jumped on today, played some Laser Invasion. I tried to play most of these games, so we'd have some of the ones that I have known nothing about. This is very similar to Top Gun, but you're in a helicopter.
Okay.
Like you start off like, and you're in your base and this and that, and then you take off, and then the screen basically looks like Top Gun screen. You're in the air, people are flying at you, and you got guns and this and that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Pretty
Fair
basic. It's okay. I gave it a D.
Yeah, whatever.
Life Force. We're on to another shooter.
Yeah, Life Force. It's pretty close to perfect. It probably could be considered perfect. I'm just not great at shooters. I can get to like the 3rd level, maybe
right,
4th.
I said this is similar to Gradius in that aspect. I gave it a lower rating. Not sure why. I guess I just didn't enjoy this one as much. I gave it a D.
I love
a C. Sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Gave it a C, halfway.
Yeah, I love some of the enemies on this game. Like the big brain at the beginning. I always called it Mother Brain because I never played Metroid as a kid. Yeah, I don't know. I think Life Force is a little less stiff in my opinion than Gradius.
Okay, I could see it. What are we on to? The Lone Ranger.
Another one I never played, Russ.
I watched Mega Dan play it.
Did he do? I'm sure he beat it.
I think he was beating it on that stream. I played it a little bit myself. I put down it's an adventure game, kind of like Star Tropics, where you're like that top-down perspective walking around town. Like you go into a town and you could go into shops and stuff, but there's like bad Western guys that can attack you in the town, so you're not completely safe. The graphics are pretty good on it. There's a password system, so you could go back to it. I know it takes a long time to beat because I looked up like playthroughs on it, and it's a few hours. So definitely, if you got this back in the day, it lasts you a month.
Wow.
What did I give it? Lone Ranger gave it a B.
Hey, it's not a bad rating.
Yeah. So give it a go if you like. Yeah, have that much time to sink into an NES game.
There you go.
What we got next?
Monster in My Pocket, a Konami classic. The only real complaint I have about Monster in My Pocket is when you get a lot of enemies on screen, there is a lot of like the flashing where you can kind of see through the characters.
Right. But other than that, it's a fun little like beat 'em up game. You could choose to play as the Frankenstein's monster or Dracula.
Yeah. Who's your guy?
Usually I go Frankenstein's monster.
See, I go Dracula.
Like the cape.
Yep, it's the cape.
We both gave it an A.
Yeah, it's a great game. I beat it a few years back. Fun little ending. I like it.
Nice. Rush N Attack. Another war style game.
I actually played this last night.
No kidding.
Yeah, I needed something quick to play because I knew I sucked at it. I was like, I probably won't get too far. This will last 10 minutes. Not an easy game.
It's a one-hit death, so that definitely makes it hard.
Yeah, and the jump button is up, which I think is always a little weird.
A little wonky.
Yeah, I gave it a B.
Okay. So you're just having some fun with it. I gave it a C, a little less, probably because of the one-hit death, and that jump button's tough. Like the other button doesn't even do anything, as far as I know.
Yeah, and like when the guys that like fly through the air and kick you, those guys are hard to avoid sometimes.
Right. I think that's where I made it up to, and then he just jump kicked me out of nowhere.
Right in the face.
Right in the face, and I was
and
done.
Russ was like, "C, F this game."
Moving on to another shooter, Stinger.
Yeah, Stinger. Fun little shooter. Cute 'em up is what people probably call this.
Right. Yeah, I played this a lot back in the day. You're this cute little ship, and they your power-up system is these bells, and they'll fall, and every time you shoot the bell, it turns a different color, and then you collect that color, and it's a different power-up.
Gotcha. I don't think I ever shot the bell. I think I just collected them. I didn't know that.
Yeah. If you keep shooting them and going up, you can't get greedy though. Can't do like 10 times because then it disappears. But that's how you get your power-ups. Okay. But I had a fun time with that one.
Yeah, we both gave it a B, so it must not be too bad.
Yeah. Super C, the sequel to Contra.
Super C. Probably could have got an S from me, but I gave it an A. I love Super C.
You're probably way better at it than me.
I can beat it. One credit clear. I can't beat it. I've never no death ran anything, but I can one credit clear it.
Okay. I gave it a lower ranking. I gave it a C, probably because I can't get anywhere in it, and it's hard to match up to the original because I played that one so much, so it's like imprinted in my brain. So then playing the sequel, you're like, eh.
So you know what's funny is I felt the same way for a long time, but Captain Algebra was like, dude, you're wrong. You got to keep playing it.
Yeah.
So I kept playing it, and then when I finally beat it, I think I like gained a new appreciation. I was like, yeah, you know what? This is as good as the original, maybe even a little better.
I'll have to try. I played with last time I was at your house. I played with the Riff, and he was killing it
until I told him to do something stupid. Sorry, Riff.
Whoops. Tiny Toon Adventures.
Yeah, it's been compared to Mario 3. Can't be too bad then.
Right. Yeah, you can choose your like backup character that helps you out, either Dizzy, Plucky, or what's the cat one? So Sylvester, Furball. So you get one of those as a backup character, and it's like a platformer game. You're bouncing off enemies, collecting carrots and stuff. Super fun.
Yeah.
What did we give it? I gave it a B.
I gave it an A.
He digs that one. The sequel, Tiny Toon Adventure 2 Trouble in Wacky Land. Did you play this one a lot?
No, I got it probably 6 months ago and popped it in a few times. You're like at an amusement park, so you like go level by level. I don't think it's quite as good as the first one, so I just dropped it down a notch from an A to a B.
Right, yeah, I had a list of that saying it was like mini games, so it's like a different style.
Yep.
I gave it a C. I was like, I wish they just would have done the same thing, but
different
levels.
Yep, same here.
The Tiny Toon Adventures Cartoon Workshop, we both gave it a D. It's basically like a Mario Paint-ish game. Like you can put together a picture on screen. Like they have like different characters and stuff like that.
Yeah, it'd be like an early 90s computer game. kind of how we compare it.
It's entertaining, I guess, for like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I got bored with it pretty fast.
The next game is TMNT 3, The Manhattan Project. Now, I just beat this on live stream maybe a month ago, and it is freaking hard.
It is insanely hard. I am not good at beat 'em ups either. So I still gave it an A because I don't want to like say that my skill makes it a C or a B.
I don't want to crap on the I gave it a C.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the second one way better than this one here. This one's a lot tougher.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it has good graphics and gameplay and music and all that, but
just hard.
It's hard. Hard as nails. Hard. NES hard.
NES hard. There you go.
Then the next game, I didn't play too much. TMNT Tournament Fighters. This was a late release because it's also on Super Nintendo as well.
Yeah. I gave it a C, but I probably could have gave it a D. I honestly don't love this game. I think that the combat's not great.
It's basically like a Street Fighter style game. You're just pitted up in one screen against each other, and you're just fighting to whoever loses energy. Yeah,
maybe I'm not good at it, but I just feel like it. I would rather play Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat 10 times out of 10 over this game.
Well, it's tough because you have two buttons, so it's hard to like put in a bunch of special moves. Like what combinations can you do to get multiple moves? It's just easier on a Super Nintendo controller with more button options. So yeah, I gave it a C as well. We got Top Gun.
Yeah.
You just did a review on the channel for this.
I did a review on Top Gun, yeah, because the movie came out, so I figured it'd be a good time to sit down and play it. And I'm not great at it, but I can land the plane.
Okay.
It takes me several tries to do it, but I kind of had fun playing it. I found myself enjoying it when I was doing the review. So
there you go. I mean, I put some time into it too. It's okay. It's not really my style game. I gave it a C. Gets kind of boring. There's no music. It's kind of boring just hearing the plane going and you're
that is true.
Things,
there is no music. They could have had like an 8-bit rendition of one of the songs.
Right. And then the sequel, Top Gun Second Mission, I don't know how much they changed. I kept my rating the same, about a C. It's just like a DLC content, right?
Yeah, I did the same. I kept the rating the same. They changed up a little bit, but nothing groundbreaking.
Gotcha. Some sports games. We got Track and Field.
Yeah, Track and Field. And I'm not mistaken. You hooked that up with the power pad, right?
Yeah, you could use the power pad on that, doing your long jump or whatever sports one you want to do.
Yeah, you could do like a little weight loss program with that if you wanted.
I guess you could. Yeah, burn some calories running on the old power pad. I gave it a C. It gets boring. I mean, you can play it maybe once a year.
I do agree with that. It's kind of a pull it out one time novelty kind of thing, but I don't know. I have fun with it when I do it, so I give it a B.
And then Track and Field 2, not much has changed in the sequel, so I kept my rating the same. It's just kind of different.
Kind of like you said,
DLC for it, yeah. Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego?
Boring.
Certainly a doozy. I enjoyed the TV series a bunch. Tried to play this game. It's a lot of like text reading. Also, I believe it came with a big manual, because I think the box for this game is like extra thick, almost like a Gyromite box.
And reading is fundamental, but it's not fun.
Right. They're trying to, it's like educational-ish game and maybe it'll be fun. Kids will enjoy it. I gave it a D.
Same here.
And our last Konami game is Zen the Intergalactic Ninja. I wish we could say we'll end on a high note.
Yeah. The only thing I think I know about this game is it's isometric, kind of like Isolated Warrior, if I'm correct. But
you are correct.
But I don't remember much else, so I didn't even bother to rate it.
You see Ninja, like the cover looks awesome. There is a comic book on this. The ninja's like he's like an alien, like blue, with like I think black pants, but it has that isometric view. And the first stage, you're like running up and dodging like lasers and all this stuff. And as soon as you get to the moving platform section, it is so hard to time that jump. You jump in the air and your little shadow circle you'll see, and you have to line it up with the platforms that are moving. I missed it every time. Lost all my guys.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Had they just copied Ninja Gaiden and just slapped his sprite in there, I think the game would have done a lot better.
Yeah, why did they try to reinvent the wheel, Russ?
I don't know. I gave it an F rating. Unplayable.
I'm gonna agree with Russ. This game's crap.
The only saving grace is the art looks cool. So if you want to display the art, do that. But you're probably better off just buying the comic book then.
There you go. Zen, get the heck out of here.
That's it. So yeah, that's all the Konami games. Rating them down. I will say, if you guys enjoy ranking games, our buddy John Riggs has a full series of like doing tons of these.
Yeah, John gets down on the ranks.
He probably describes some of the games a little bit better than us, but hey, we figured we'd give it a shot, trying to switch up these topics week to week.
That's right.
There's a lot of research involved in this one because there's so many games.
Yeah, nice work, Russ.
Yeah, we're trying to do top 10s. I was like, hey, you want to review like 35 games?
I'm like, have at it, Russ. I'll come in and wing it.
Perfect. Well, guys, we appreciate you listening. Be sure to come back every Saturday for a new episode at 7 a.m. You can find us here on YouTube. We're also on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. You can follow me on the YouTubes with RussLyman's Bit by Bit, or just RussLyman is my main channel, and I'm on TikTok and Instagram as well. Where can we find you, Jay?
TikTok and YouTube and whatnot. If you feel like buying some video games, and Instagram, all some variation of NES Addict.
Nice. Excellent. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you guys listening to us, and we hope you have a great weekend. As always, I'm RussLyman, and keep your world fun bit by bit.
Have a good weekend, guys.